Imagine a young kid from Richmond, Virginia, who grew up surrounded by gospel music and the sound of church choirs. That kid would one day become one of the most mysterious, gifted, and influential figures in modern R&B. His name was Michael Eugene Archer, but the world would come to know him as His story is one of extraordinary talent, painful struggle, redemption, and legacy, a journey through the beauty and the burden of genius. Michael Eugene Archer was born on February 11, 1974. In Richmond, Virginia, his father was a Pentecostal minister, and his mother played piano at church, so it's no surprise that music was woven into the fabric of his childhood. From a young age, he was fascinated by the sounds of soul, funk, and gospel. He taught himself how to play instrument by ear and began writing songs as a teenager. Even then, people around him noticed that he wasn't just talented, he was special. By the time he was in high school, D'Angelo was already performing around Virginia and had earned a reputation as a musical prodigy. He joined a group called Michael Archer and the Vanguard, winning talent competitions and catching the attention of local producers. Eventually, his ambition took him to New York City, where he began working with producers in the early 1990s. He was only 19 when he signed his first major record deal, a moment that would set the stage for a revolution in R&B music. In 1995, D'Angelo released his debut album, Brown Sugar, The record changed everything, blending vintage soul influences with modern grooves. It redefined what R&B could sound like. Songs like Lady and Brown Sugar weren't just hits. They became blueprints for the neo-soul movement that would later inspire artists like Erykah Badu, Maxwell, and Alicia Keys. His voice was smooth, smoky, and deeply emotional, while his musicianship and songwriting showed a maturity far beyond his years. The success of Brown Sugar made D'Angelo a star almost overnight. But fame, as he would soon learn, came with a heavy cost. While fans saw a charismatic performer, D'Angelo himself struggled with how the industry began to package and sexualize him. He wanted to be seen as an artist, not an object. Still, he poured himself into his music, spending years carefully crafting what would become his second album, one that would elevate him to legendary status. In 2000, D'Angelo released Voodoo. The album was dark, rich, and experimental. It was recorded with the Selquarians, a collective of musicians that included Questlove, Jay Dilla, and Erykah Badu. Voodoo wasn't just an album, it was a statement. It earned him Grammy Awards, critical acclaim, and one of the most talked about music videos in history, untitled How Does It Feel? That video changed his life forever. D'Angelo appeared shirtless, his body slowly rotating under soft light as he sang directly to the camera. It was sensual, raw, and artistic, but it also created an image he couldn't escape. The public began to focus more on his physique than his music. Concertgoers shouted for him to take his shirt off. Interviews revolved around his looks instead of his craft. For D'Angelo, who had always wanted to be taken seriously as a musician, it was devastating. The years that followed Voodoo were turbulent. The pressure of fame, constant touring, and personal insecurities began to take their toll. He started to withdraw from public life, struggling with addiction and depression. Reports surfaced about car accidents, canceled shows, and erratic behavior. In 2005, he was involved in a serious car crash that nearly killed him. Friends later said that experience became a turning point, both physically and emotionally, but his troubles didn't end there. Over the next several years, D'Angelo had multiple run-ins with the law. he was arrested for drug possession and for soliciting a sex worker. Incidents that made headlines and fueled tabloid speculation about his downfall. Yet those close to him said he was battling inner demons, torn between his desire to return to music and his fear of the fame that came with it. The industry he once dominated now seemed like a trap. Through all of this, D'Angelo kept creating in private. He never stopped writing or experimenting with sound. What the world didn't know was that he was slowly building his comeback. In 2014, after nearly 15 years of silence, D'Angelo returned with a surprise album titled Black Messiah. The timing was powerful. The record dropped amid widespread protest and social unrest in America, and its themes of identity, injustice, and resilience resonated deeply. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece, bold, political, and sonically daring. D'Angelo was back, not just as a singer, but as a voice for his generation. Despite the triumphant return, he remained a private figure. He rarely gave interviews, avoided social media, and lived quietly away from the spotlight. He had one child with singer Angie Stone, and though their romantic relationship eventually ended, the two remained linked through music and family. Those who worked with him described him as gentle, spiritual, and deeply introspective, a man always searching for peace. Over the years, rumors continued to swirl about D'Angelo's personal life. Stories about isolation, secret recording sessions, and possible new albums became the stuff of legend. But unlike many celebrities, he didn't chase attention. He seemed content letting his music speak for him. Fans respected that about him: the mystery, the authenticity, the refusal to play the fame game. In October 2025, the world learned that D'Angelo had passed away after a long, private battle with cancer. He was 51 years old. The news devastated fans and fellow artists alike. Tributes poured in from every corner of the music industry. Questlove called him one of the greatest of all time. Musicians who had grown up on his records described him as the soul of a generation. For many, his passing wasn't just the loss of a singer. It was the loss of an artist who had redefined modern soul music. D'Angelo's story is one of brilliance and complexity. He was a perfectionist who wrestled with fame, a visionary who changed music by staying true to himself, and a man who never stopped searching for light in the darkness.